Yeah, yeah, it is. Sorry. I was just seeing if my microphone was on. Sorry.
Do you
It's
want to
about,
explain a little bit more about my story? Because you're good at that.
um, it's just about bringing people together as a community, knowing, finding out about each other, warts and all. It don't matter. It's just bringing everyone together, letting the people in the chat rooms hear about, giving them an opportunity to tell us about them.
Hey, we have one of our first Your Stories to read out to you. And this is Gonzalo Chavez. And basically, I'm just reading his little email. He said to me, Karen, click on the attachment that has text. It's a full one. Kiss, 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 kiss. You guys don't have to read the story. I just wanted you guys to know a bit more about me. I'm always in amazement when I watch your channel. Oh, nearly everyone you have on your channel, including both you ladies, are extremely genuine. You guys are really a shining light where it's nearly black everywhere. Much love and God bless you ladies. Thank you, Gonzalo. And now I'm going to read his story. My story begins in 1981. I was born to a white mother and Mexican father in the heart of Nebraska. I grew up only 40 miles from where I was born, which I only came to know later when I was older, that the area we lived in was very racialist to anyone other than white. I was completely oblivious to this in my preteen years. I never really understood why I got picked on growing up, but would soon find out. I was just like any other Midwestern kid growing up in the white middle America, with one exception. My skin was brown. From my perspective, I don't see what the big deal was. My parents never taught or showed any bias towards any race, so that aspect of our culture was never instilled in me. I remember things like people at gas stations making my father go, and I go round to the back of the store to go to the bathroom when the restroom was inside the store. My dad would just say, okay, and we would walk out without making a scene. Thinking back, it must have been hard for him to bite his tongue and take it, or easy, I don't know. He always was just so happy loving, and that's how I remember my early years. So much love. We took a month trip to Mexico to see his family, and to me it was a cultural shock. My grandmother would have to heat water in pots for us to bathe, and to cook she used a wood stove. We didn't use the car, but rather rode around town on my uncle's horses. It was amazing to see so many people in the town riding horses, coming from all the motorized country like America. Our meals consisted of mainly corn, tortillas, beans and chicken. The chicken, raised and slaughtered for consumption in my grandmother's backyard. My sister and I would play a sort of kickball game with the other children in the neighbourhood. We didn't know Spanish, but they took us in without hesitation. I just felt like I belonged there, like it didn't matter who or what you were. People just loved you no matter what, and that's that kicked off my amazing life after. Something was different after returning from our trip. Obviously, the town, the people on it were the same, but the change was within myself. It was the first of many times my eyes were opened to my surroundings. Not physically, but rather spiritually and mentally. I began to notice the hate and the vileness around me. I could tell that people looked at me differently, and that all the other kids, and being so young, I didn't yet have the experience and know how to deal with it in a healthy manner. I was 8, for Christ's sake, and so my turn for the worst took hold. I retreated from social life. No longer was I open and innocent to the world around me. The bullying got bad. from there, so I joined up with so-called bad crowd and eventually became the bully. By the time I was 10, I was already fighting and bullying the bullies, and bullied me for not taking a stand against the people who treated him so poorly, and I was on the warpath to hurt everyone I came across. The fighting got worse, and by the time I was 13, I was drinking and partying weekly. We would steal my so-called friend's parents' vehicle on the weekends at night and go to the next towns. The fighting got worse, and by the time I was 13, I was drinking and partying weekly. We would steal my so-called friend's parents' vehicle on the weekends at night and go to the towns next to us, just to start crap with the kids and teenagers that would hang out downtown. BTW, I really don't see that anymore anywhere. Cruise nights, weekends downtown, hangouts, etc. We were also running around the country stealing from farmers and breaking into farms, schoolhouses. I was in and out of juvenile court till one day when I was 16. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. We had organised a sort of gang-style brawl with our neighbouring town, partly because we were also hanging out with the older actual gang members from the opposite town. They had come from out west because of the giant meat-packing plant that had opened up. It employed like 1,000 people or so, can't be for sure. But most were Mexican, and things locally got crazy because of it. Anyway, we loaded up, about 13 to 15 of us, ready for action. 4 people from the other town were who also showed, and the rest is history. 2 totally destroyed vehicles, 2 hospitalizations, 1 intensive care, and now I was sitting in jail at 16. My sentence, 1.5 years juvenile detention centre. A condition of my parole was to attend Job Court in Chadron, Nebraska, so I did. Job Court was a breeze, and I took up carpentry. My instructor, Mr. Zavaldil, sorry about that, that's right, even took me to Denver, Colorado to try and place me with work there. In the end, it didn't pan out though. I bought an older Beta car and packed up for Colorado Springs, almost 18 years old and on my own. Anyway, away from home since 16, and I wasn't looking back. The girl I met in Job Cart eventually became my fiancée, and I settled in Sydney, Nebraska, where I worked as an apprentice carpenter building houses. Things were great, but it was again all about to change. One day, I was just enjoying myself off in our apartment, and for some unknown reason, I just got up and drove to the Navy recruiting office to join up. Get this, 6 days later, I was in Great Lakes, Illinois, naval boot camp. You can imagine the shock from my fiancée, her parents, and my boss, and just everyone I knew. Because of the lengthy record, and recruiter told me that I had to go to boot camp as quickly as possible so they wouldn't be able to deny my application. I later found out by the 2 naval criminal investigators that came to see me in boot camp that according to the paperwork my recruiter filled out, I was spick and span, squeaky clean, an angel if you like. I was excelling greatly in boot camp and was assigned Masters at Arms for Division, and this is why they decided not to kick me out of boot camp. I can't recall what it was called, but there is a day in a boot camp where it's like a job fair. All the divisions gather in a huge rec centre to what I assume is a selection process. I was approached and offered SEAL, but I declined. Actually, I think everyone can try out for it, but they came to me while we were all just sitting there waiting our turns to see the options. I attended A-school training in Pensacola, Florida for aviation, structural and hydraulic mechanics. This is also where I attended my first gentlemen's club meeting, if you know what I mean. smiley there. Even though I had been stripped down and mentally reconditioned by the Navy, I still was partying like a rock star. The difference was now it was no longer a criminal intent. My first and only duty station was NAS Whitby Island, VP 40P3 Squadron 5 years. After getting to Washington, I found out that my fiancé had cheated on me, and I called it quits. It's all really kind of a blur, but it was for a reason, and I'll get into that later. So there I was, living out my life, partying still, working on planes and reaping the military benefits. Life was grand. One day, our senior chief came to all the departments looking for volunteers to serve as auxiliary master at arms for the squadron. And guess who raised their hand? Boy, oh boy, did I not know what I was getting into. Here I was, just a Navy aircraft mechanic, and bam, I get reassigned for training with a mobile US Marine military police unit. For a month I got beat down and dug into the dirt by those badasses. I actually really enjoyed it. Hand-to-mouth combat, defensive tactics, pepper spray training, weapons training, you name it. After that was over, I returned to my squadron, and a while later 9/11 happened and we were deployed. This was right at the end of the Enduring Freedom, the initial invasion. We went over to the OIF, and operated out of Bahrain, Jordan, and Diego Garcia. I spent most of my tour in Bahrain, but served in both Jordan and Diego. Remember the whole Master at Arms thing? Well, this is where it came to play, which was, of course, and a blessing at the same time. Our aircraft was land-based only, which meant they needed security while operating in locations where no one provided. 12 hours on call for fueling, pre-flight, post-flight, maintenance, and the next 12 hours geared up to the stand watch where there were no fences or lighting. Just two of us, mechanics, armed, security to defend against whatever came our way. Looking back, it was crazy to think we would stand a chance, but who knows? Maybe we would have. I ended up in some crazy situations while in the Navy. I could go for hours, but here are a few in a nutshell. Rented a car and got 100 miles away from the base in Japan. Got chased by a pack of wild dogs in the Black Flag off-limits area in Bahrain during a midnight drunken run. Broke 2 ribs during an unsanctioned WWF barracks crawl. Almost died by an aircraft landing gear failure. Jumped my pickup 7 feet in the air at 3K in the States party. Drunk a beer with the Candyman in Canada. Snorkeled in the rim of a volcano, Diego Garcia. Smuggled snake and illegal Cubans back from Japan. Got to party with the British Special Forces. Worked on B-1 Lancer. Achieved Expert Marksman Medal. Flew a P-3 Orion at 28,000 feet for 30 minutes on autopilot. Stayed in the Empire Hotel, Brunei, same as President Clinton for free. Almost died when I fell off a jet ski 5 miles from the shore in Brunei. I hope I've said that right, sorry. Awarded Navy Achievement Medal for preemptively saving the lives of P-3 Orion aircrew. Rode a crotch rocked 3,000 miles to go home on leave. This is endless. Really, I've got so much more. After I left the Navy, I had applied to be a Nebraska State Patrolman. It's a long story, but to make it short, they are some of the most deceptive and devious people I've ever met. They denied me the entry even with my exemplary naval experience and NP service. So I had a friend working in the mining and drilling industry in Nevada and offered me a spot, so I took it. This led to a 5-year career into, again, travelling the world. I was again partying like a rock star, working in some of the most remote locations imaginable. 3 seasons I drilled in Alaska, where the only way in and the only way out was by helicopter. It was here I became familiar with bears. Yes, I said bears, grizzly black to be exact. It was 2-man operation. We would heli lift the drill rigs component by component to a location that a geologist would determine might have gold, then drill up to 2,000 looking for something shiny. 1 year while drilling in Good, Alaska, it was early morning and we were flying out to receive waiting to be the relief of the night crew. The heli landed and we did our quick pass down with night shift and they flew out. My helper and I were on the deck of a rig having our morning coffee when we looked up, and there she was. He or she, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know that we were frozen with all our hair standing on end. It was a giant black bear or grizzly, who knows, at that point, standing about 20 feet from the rig. It just looked at us, decided we weren't on the menu and walked off. I don't care who you are or what you've been trained in. When you meet an animal like that for the first time, up close, everything you've ever been taught goes out the window. Someone once told me they could see the curve from an aeroplane during a command board argument and told me not to try it. I nearly fell off my seat with laughter just thinking to myself, I've probably flown at least 50 times or more and even have flown at 28,000 feet. Just like the military, I've been in some extreme wild situations while working in the drilling industry, where I could also go for hours, but again, to keep it somewhat short, here you go. Come to work one day to find out that the cross lift had shot a farmer's tank where we were working. High on a remote mountain, a man with a herd of goats walked by. Border Control came to my rig in Washington, asking if we had seen anyone in the area. 70 miles in the middle of nowhere. Got to drill underground while rock blasting active. Drilled into an old underground mine with 2 million gallons of water inside. Was filmed by the TV show Gold Rush. Thought a Coast Guard helicopter was a UFO at 2 a.m. hovering 20 feet above us. Flew in a float plane to work. Chased 8 grizzly bears with a helicopter. Stood underneath Mendenhall Glacier. My friend was shot at point blank range in Abasarok, Montana. Sorry if I've said that wrong. And he missed, lol. Almost ran over a mountain lion. One of my supervisors was a Department of Home Security ex-officer high up, was chased by a Homeland Security helicopter down a mountain, rode a 4-wheeler along the Alaska pipeline. Again, the list goes on and on. I forgot to mention this. After the State Patrol, I met a beautiful woman that is now my wife. We currently have been married for 9 years this July, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. She's amazing, loving, caring and sweet, and I have a 13-year-old stepdaughter whom I love as much. So now we get to the flat earth portion of my story. Finally, it was 2015 during an off-season from drilling. I own my own truck, and I do trucking when not travelling around the world. So anyway, it really wasn't flat earth I was after, but rather it was a spiritual time in my life. I had been baptized and saved way back here when I was in the juvenile detention centre. Something still was not right and I could feel it. I was praying heavily for a couple of weeks for God to just show me the truth. I knew something was amiss but didn't know what I was. in for. I kept praying, and one day I came across Mr. Thrive and Survive. Hey, Rich. Brilliant man, BTW. It took me just 3 to 5 days to confirm that truth, and here goes. Where I live in Nebraska, it's really flat. That used to be one of the arguments of how you should be able to see objects in the distance, because the area was just so flat. Easily debunked by taking GPS elevations at 3 locations: observation locations, midway location, and target elevation. I'm sure you all understand how that debunks that argument. So I remembered that as a kid I could see the water tower in the next town over 15 miles top to bottom. I say bottom because this particular tower had a triangular base that is only about 10 feet high, and you can see the whole thing. I did the curvature mathematical calculation, and it turns out that you should only be able to see 35 feet of the top of the tower, which is less than the tank that sits on the top, yet you can see the entire thing with no change in elevation between the 3 locations I mentioned above. And ever since then, I've done hundreds of these types of observations all around the country without one ever proving a curve. Always flat. The longest observation I ever witnessed was the Rocky Mountains at 180 miles. I know many people do not believe me and have called me crazy, but it's true. I've been by that location 80 to 100 times and only seen it once. The atmospheric conditions have to be perfect. Almost every day I observe objects 70 to 100 miles away. That shouldn't be possible, but I do. I really don't care too much anymore about the Earth's shape. I know it's flat, and I also know that if you are going to see it, you will. The ones that don't are afraid, and I know this is for a fact. Why? My wife. She once told me that she couldn't even consider the fact that the Earth may be flat. She said that it is such a huge change in everything she has ever believed and ever built in her life, on that changing that would crumble the world around her. Deep down, I know she is just holding on to the globe, and that's okay. I now believe that the flat Earth issue was a timed event. The ones that are awakened are the only ones that were meant for it, and at that time. That this is extremely prevalent in what you see now. I remember in 2015 that it wasn't as vile and vicious as it is now. It's become a sideshow, a drama played out on YouTube. I do believe that some will wake up, but it's a trickle, when back in 2015-2016 it was full on blood. YouTube and the major media outlets went on damage control, and they succeeded. Yes, we still have many people doing real science like Mr. Thrive and Survive, but the awakening has subsided. I've come to many new thoughts that God has always shown me that and make flat Earth look child's play. I've come to many thoughts that look like child's play. I would advocate letting go of flat Earth debate to anyone, not because it's not important, but because God has much more to show you if one can move on from that issue. He has shown us flat Earth to condition our minds to the true reality of the world, so we wouldn't be overcome by shock at the revelation of it all. Above all, I love you guys at Sun and Moon. Oh, I was completely honest when I said you guys are the most loving, caring people I've ever met online in a sea of evil. Oh, Gonzalo! You don't have to read this on your channel. I know it's long, and honestly, it would go on forever. I just wanted you to know that I'm always there for you guys or anyone else that needs help in any way, and that I'm almost always listening. Oh, thank you so much for sharing your story, Gonzalo. Very, very interesting, and thank you so much for that, and we will be talking about it. Patricia!
Yes,
Yeah, what do you make of that then?
it's
No,
fascinating.
yeah, I'm going to leave me sharing at the moment because it's just easy, and I probably won't touch any of this hangout, to be honest. We'll just let it play. I think we've done quite well so far, guys. We're just novices at this. Yeah, amazing. I do understand what Gonzalo means about the flat Earth. All that bit he wrote, spot on. The drama, the fact that some of us have woken up and some of us haven't, and that's the way it's going to be. That's what I'm coming to this conclusion. I mentioned it myself the other day, and yeah, he's done many things, hasn't he, Patricia?
Yes. Oh, my head was spinning just reading that and listening to you. It's like, wow,
Yeah,
done a lot of
and I
things.
thought we would do this live, but can you imagine it? Trying to sort of do a paragraph each. I just thought it was best to actually video it. But yeah, I was so worried I'd make a mistake, so worried I'd have to start again. But amazing career along the way. He's changed from a child and what he was like to as an adult and spirituality. What else do you want to say, Patricia?
Um, well, just fascinating, isn't it? It's getting to know him as a person, warts and all. Like I said, he's done some bad things, he's done some good things, and this is what my story is about, getting to know one another.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Did you notice he likes sun and moon?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and thank you, Gonzalo, for that. It's really, really good.
It must have taken him a little while to write that as well.
Yeah, if it's all like predictive texting, how many times you'd have to change words and stuff, spell checking, and just remembering all that stuff as well. You know, I can sort of remember what I did yesterday,
He
but
survived the grizzly bear.
you what, sorry?
He survived the grizzly bear.
I know. I can imagine it face to face with a grizzly bear. I'm so glad I don't live in America like that.
I think he's enjoyed his career, his military career. He actually enjoyed it. Went and did quite a few things which he enjoyed.
Yeah, I
Mm.
think the military it's more about, but for me, when I look on people that's military, the vast variety of things that you can do, you know, it's, like traveling, seeing different places, all these other things that he's done. It's just fascinating. Love it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Gonzalo. Shall we move on then to the next one?
Yeah, come on then.
The second My Story person video talk explanation is from Kelly. Kelly lives in America and we had a hangout with her, so we're going to play that bit next. So what is it you'd like to share with SAMFU?
Well, just how I am slowly, I mean, I've been woke for a while, uh, to certain, especially my entrance into um, alternative realm theories is, like I said, I'm chronically ill,
Sorry to hear that.
fibromyalgia. Huh?
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I've been sick. I'm now 56. I've been sick since I lived in California when I was 21 years old. And like nobody knew what it was. Doctors wait because if they don't have a pill for it, they won't tell you. They can't tell you what it is. So I diagnosed myself, and I have lived with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and forms of mental health issues, manic depressive, for a very long time. And I've had to basically try to heal myself. And then I have a daughter. She's away in our first year of university. Hi, Savannah. She's going to listen in later. She is chronically ill. She came out with postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome and Ehlers-Danlos, which is like nobody knows what this is. It's so rare.
What's that?
Yeah, so POTS, they call it POTS for short. Basically, her venous supply, her blood supply does not, it pools at her feet and it does not come upstairs. So she has chronically low blood pressure, and this can cause you to faint and have severe headaches and nausea, gastroparesis. It's just like a horror show. And most of these children also have a secondary complex syndrome called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a form of hyperjoint
Oh my
mobility.
God, this all sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's a freaking nightmare. It's a freaking nightmare. But so my daughter is the face of, she's a medical warrior. She is the face of, just because you can't see my illness, like, don't judge me, okay? Don't, like, these poor people that park in the disabled park, but they're walking out of the car, so people leave nasty notes on their car. The people are so nasty. But anyway, my daughter is now in her first year of uni. She is on scholarship. She graduated top marks, having missed half of her senior year being in bed. They do it. She's a medical warrior. So anyway, to get back to it, I was living in Philadelphia, single mom, 56, hated where I was outside the big city. I wanted to go a bit more off grid. I came to New Hampshire. She stayed back in Pennsylvania to go to university. So it's myself and the cat, and we're in the snow, but I'm on a huge lake called Lake Winnipesaukee. And it's beautiful here during the warm months.
What was it that made you like kind of wake up then?
Okay, so yeah, the health issues, like not trusting doctors for Savannah, like having the diagnosis of ourselves, becoming a natural, like educating myself in, and then all my friends coming up with more gelins, like, having to and study up on more gelins. And I took Savannah to Los Angeles last year, and all the 5G towers going up, but being disguised as like crosses on churches and palm trees.
Oh my God, those things. Do you know what? Even if these people probably don't know what flat Earth is or anything like that, but there's a web page out basically, and it's about 5G towers, and in it they say you should never have it anywhere near people. And where are they putting these towers? Near schools and children, and
it's gonna fry everything. It's gonna. Well, didn't you? Is it Josh that has prostate cancer because of his phone?
it's sheeps and neeps.
Sheeps and neeps. Anyway, he said because it was in his. I mean, when I'm not using Wi-Fi, my phone goes airplane mode or it goes completely off. The wireless gets unplugged. I don't sleep next to it. I really
Do
try
you
to
know what
stay.
I think we are? I just think we're one great big experiment. I mean, from our generation, I don't know if you remember, but the children were just after we were being born was the thalidomide children. Then you've got a lot of these, like, how can they keep giving these injections when they know the children are getting autistic, especially the males? Like, surely, like, it's like everybody's driving forward with all this stuff, and yet really it's showing, and people are waking up and like, oh, it's just.
Well, it's the HPV vaccine that my daughter got at 11 years old that she's a vax injured child. It set off her POTS.
It's terrible, isn't it? I just think we're one big experiment for them, to be honest.
Yep. So, but I think in the final analysis, well, what's working for me is, what's the answer to all this? Well, the answer is tuning, do we want getting back to nature and not eating like trying to make our food as clean as possible and as natural sourced as possible. I'm not dyeing my hair anymore. I'm not putting chemicals in my head. I'm putting
Turn that television off. Turn the television off. Television.
Yes.
That's your story. So you've been ill. You've moved. You've changed your lifestyle. You started your own business. You've woken up a bit.
Yeah. and it just grows from there. I was your friend earlier, Wide Awakes, called us Globers earlier. I thought that was funny. I was like, hey, did he call me a Glober? But yeah, the whole flat Earth thing was. I actually had a very strong argument last summer with. A woman who said she was a flat earther, and of course, what came up? The anger, or not the anger, but just the being gobsmacked. It was, yeah, I was like, what? But your Unscrambled led me to your bendy door footage over at Sun and Moon, and the more I watch, the more I allow, and you do it in such a funny way, and um,
Yeah, I've
so
done a few
yeah, I'm getting there. I'm
breakdowns,
getting there.
of things on there, and that NASA stuff, like there's about 30, 40 videos on Sun and Moon. I'm just gobsmacked at that just, like there's a paused astronaut. The other one's moving around. It was supposed to be live. It was Boeing's first trip outside, about 2013, 14, something like that. There's a paused astronaut, and it's like nobody noticed.
But we've been fed this for so long. People, their psyches they can't handle it. It's just, they can't. We have been lied to for so long about everything. I mean, really, this is the longest.
Probably our parents were probably the worst inflicted by the indoctrination with that television coming out, because what it seems with our research is that in the 1900s, most people believed we lived on a flat plane, right? That's what they believed. And then by the 1960s, after 2 world wars, which seemed to desecrate everything, infrastructure, the whole thing, we get television going to the moon. It all happens in the 60s. They turned us into this globe in the 1960s.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Only 60 years ago, but look at the indoctrination and look what it's like now, and it's only in our lifetime.
Well, I think about our poor children. Like I said, I have a 19-year-old who is incredibly smart, and she is very intuitive, and she's not willing to accept much of what most grown-ups say anyway. So, including myself, which,
And
has
also,
its
they're
down.
hiding the free energy side of everything as well, which is also a very big thing. Because if people realize that, and that we're living in an electric universe, everything's electric, got electric heartbeat, pulses in our brain, the sun's electric. You can even see on the water, there's little glistenings, they're electric. You've got electric little orby things all around the sun. Everything's electric. People haven't.
Yeah, I am not the smartest tool in the shed when it's mathematics is not a language that I can read or interpret very well. I'm a real right brainer. You give me French, Italian, art, I'm down with it. I can do it. But like math, and when you guys start talking about spheres and cones and
It's a bit more than that.
gravity doesn't
It's a very
exist.
intellectual subject, I think, flat Earth for a lot of people. It's like we open our mouths and you start going, well, this, that, and the refraction, and people start going, what? It just goes
Yeah,
through
yeah. I mean, gravity doesn't exist. I heard that the other day. Gravity is a lie. I was like, wow. So yeah, but I wouldn't understand gravity anyway.
But we don't need gravity because we're not moving. We're not moving. And in reality, if you actually thought about gravity then would be like what it looks like in the ISS space station with the wobbling water. Because if gravity can keep all that water stuck to a ball, but if you get a tennis ball out and swing it around, the water spins off. Do you see what I mean? So if you've understood, gravity would be like living in the ISS space station all the time. Well, we don't experience anything like that, and the water spins off the ball. So you can't have it keeping thousands of tons stuck to this thing spinning through space at Mach 80, but actually on a tennis ball on the thing with gravity, it falls off. It's ridiculous. But can I just say,
Yes.
the my story thing wasn't supposed to be 9 million hours. We've got to keep it a little bit short. And I know we've talked about a few things here, and we can talk a little bit when we go off the hangout. But your story, your message, what is it you'd like to sort of round it up on?
Oh, round it up.
You can come back and talk again, Kelly.
Well, you're a little more abstract than I am, and that's saying something. So my story is
What do you mean by that?
uh, because I'm very abstract, and people are always commenting on it, but we're bouncing back and forth between unscrambled
I
and
know,
flat
I'm
Earth.
sorry, I'm sorry.
No, it's brilliant. I love it. But to round it up is just uh, you know, become awake, like wake up, and like go out and smell the flowers, because really there is no if we're being lied to in such, the hyperbole is so crazy that, well, what is the answer? And the answer is, you got to take care of your own health, and you got to, like, the chemicals, and like you got to raise children that take their heads out of their phones, and we have to de-evolve somehow
We've got to
back
start
to
communicating with
nature.
each other again, do you think, as well? Like becoming communities again and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I'm an atheist, but I believe in the communal thing. I believe in the communal, the love of a gathering of a group of people that all have the same common goal, which is what your sun and moon family is about. People, YouTube is a great example of people can't communicate. Everybody gets triggered so easily. And you wouldn't do, and like in your car, people having road rage, if you're face to face, you're less likely to, well, I don't know, go off on somebody, because those boundaries, the doors and the tablets isn't keeping you inside. That it's not inclusive. You know what I mean? You're reaching out to humanity. And that's what we need to do. For me, I'm reaching out to nature. I'm happy to be inside. Like, I don't want to deal with people anymore. That's it. I don't.
This is
Um,
supposed to be your story, by the way, but just harping on the bit that in this global world, there's a lot of ego, and that is the killer. It's not that you can't have an ego, it's just how people use them, and everybody's on this dog eat dog thing, and I'm better than you and all this crap. If we got rid of that, we have to start, I don't know, my ego's not like that. I'm empathic. So,
I,
you
well,
know,
empathy. We go on hours about empathy. The empathy scale. Yeah, empathy has been erased from the human genetics, and I think it started with the Nazis. And like you add drugs like meth to it, and it's completely gone. So yeah, it's very difficult. I ran away, sort of, and I'm fine to be on my own because it's so crazy, but we do need to reach out to each other, and we do need to share a common goal, and I don't know, expand our minds. But I think people that's why they love their cars. They love to be inside on their own, isolated, in control. So, all I can say is, look, being in New Hampshire now, in Philadelphia, I couldn't see the stars. I am now in a place where I feel I can reach up and touch them. My sky here at night, my night sky is so gorgeous, and I see everything. And I'm just, then I feel happy to be alive, So I don't know. What can I tell you? We have to, for me, I have to go back to nature, and I have to tune in, and I have to keep my mind awake, because just in so many weeks listening to you, I have come really far with the FE thing.
oh, really? Well, that's really great because,
So just to kind of finish off real quickly, so I started a soap company. It's called All Washed Up.
yeah,
All Washed
well
Up.
done.
Huh?
Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
all washed up, and I think I may start to YouTube it. I may expand my channel from just receiving to uploading, just doing the empty nester thing on my own, getting back to my own interests. Uh, and then having some storyline that goes with it. I've had some parental alienation that has occurred in my life recently. I have, I'm bipolar. So just, day to day, the emotional rescue, and soap is a Zen thing. And, I'm better off at foraging for my herbs while maybe I'm depressed today. So go out and forage. So I may have some content that has sort of a, not as hard as the psychopath in your life storyline that woman does on I forget her name, but just to add some flavor to the soap making process.
Hmm. So what, you're doing it more like mail order?
Like what? Oh,
Is it-
yeah, I got to build a website, and I'll definitely do that. E-commerce, but we have farmers markets and craft fairs, and I live in a very kitschy, I don't know if you know that word, that's sort of a Yiddish thing, a quaint lakeside town, and I'm a townie, so I live here year round, but during the summertime, we have a lot of business here. It's a seasonal type of thing. So, the handmade, handcrafted goat's milk, pumpkin, bamboo, hemp, soap will go over well for New Yorkers that have $1 million house on the lake.
Hmm. Um, really pleased that you've done that, and only wish you really good luck in your venture there. I know Patricia's been a bit quiet. She's quieter because she's a quieter person, so she's not going to interrupt. But Patricia, is there anything you'd like to ask Kelly?
Not so much ask, but I'm fascinated with the sort of like you doing the videos on your life, the empty nest. I think that's fascinating. This is what the whole thing of my story is about. It's about getting to know you as a person. All the people in the chat, get to know them as on a deeper level, not just a flat earth level.
Right.
It's really fascinating. I can't wait.
Yes. It's my only just the angst that might be involved with the YouTube community, because the triggering, the hate, I really don't need to wake up do I want to expose myself to such toxic behavior when the whole point of coming up here was to decompress? So, but I think if I just I'll try not to be controversial, but I'm I'm Irish and Jewish from Philadelphia, and that's a whole nother story. So,
Yeah.
uh, I doubt I would be able to circumvent being obnoxious to some degree to somebody. But yeah, I was hoping to leave the little twist of the. I got a kind of couple things going on. So there's the empty nester. She went off to uni. I'm a single parent, so it was just the two of us for a very long time. And I had some parental alienation that happened to me the last couple of years, where sort of my kid was brainwashed a little bit, to sort of disengage from me and not like me anymore, and that I was a big jerk. But we're working on that. We're coming around, and so I was thinking, yeah, a little flavor to the channel. Some of these soapers on YouTube, you just see their hands making product, but I think I may add a little sort of recovery work to it.
Hmm. Anyway, it takes a little while, doesn't it, to get a business and things going, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Can can I just say, you sound like a really honest and open person, and I think that will fare well with you when you're doing your videos. You know, you can sort of spot a fake a mile away. We've done a lot of fakes, haven't we, Karen? And we can sort of see them coming out. I think you'd do great because you just got that personality that you're open and you're honest about things. That's just my little bit.
No, I thank you for that. I see myself as that, but you know, the last couple years I've been told I was something else. And actually, for a very long time, it's not just that relationship. So, you know, getting back to the emotional thing, you're told this over and over, or that you're worthless or whatever, you know. And but I'm a
Yeah,
survivor. I'm a survivor. So
yeah. I mean, I've only just sort of since I was about 40. I'm 58 this year. I'm 58. Yeah, I think I'm 58 this year. Since sort of 40, up to 40, I always felt I was worthless in that, and now I'm just about beginning to not feel like that anymore. So yeah, it takes a while, but
you know
yeah,
what it is? It's menopause. Once we stop being domesticated like cows with hormones, I mean, look at Indira Gandhi, and not that I liked her very much, but Margaret Thatcher. I mean, you take these women, once they're postmenopausal, they don't give a.
Mind you, we're not even sure if we can believe any of that anymore. Politics is a lie, education is a lie, medication is a lie,
Right.
what we're living on is a lie, the history is a lie. Excuse me, dinosaurs are a lie.
But what's the answer, Karen?
Oil is
What
a
do we
lie.
do?
It's not, you know, it's not dead dinosaurs and all that crap, fossil fuel. It's just, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I just for me the answer is nature. It's just the turn off a little bit. Of course,
Sun's a lie, the moon is a lie. We
I
can
know. I
never
know.
ever listen. The bit that gets me is that we can only see in focus for so many miles, and you can see the sun and the moon in focus. So there you go. We've all got our own sun. We've all got our own moon, which is even more crazy. But you know, if you can see these things in focus, they're not very far away.
Yeah, but your ears get pricked up when you know somebody's behind you.
Yes. Yeah, Patricia, what are you going to say?
Oh, I was just I forgot what I want now. Yeah, you were saying about what's the answers, like you said, Kelly, go back to nature. We need to learn about ourselves, what makes us tick, and come together with like-minded, empathic, open-minded people.
Yes.
And that's the whole point of the Sun and Moon group and
Empathy.
the my
Empathy.
story. Just getting to know one another.
Well, I love both your stories. I haven't gotten too deep into them, but
We
I'm
just
getting
started
there.
it. We had one today, right? We had one today, and we've got two to go together for this one. So we've just started it. This thing about my story.
I think it's lovely. You two certainly are busy. You know, bravo.
Yes. Anyway, on that note, shall we finish the actual conversation we're having for the my story, and then we can just chat a little bit off air?
Sure.
All right then. And Kelly, it's been a great pleasure to meet you. We'll talk when we just go off air, because obviously I've done it as a hangout so that we can record all of us talking in, you know, if I record it on my computer, you two will sound tinny, I'll sound good, or I sound bad and you sound good. So this is the best way to record what we've said. But we're going to press the stop button. But it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. It's great for all the aspects we've been talking about today. And hopefully you'll come on Sun and Moon again. But anyway, for the actual recording, thanks very much, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Patricia.
thank you, Kelly. It's been good.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Hey, Patricia, just finished that one. We met Kelly. We had quite a few hours with her, didn't we? And she's lovely. You there, Patricia?
Yeah, I really like, I love her, and I love everybody else, as you know. But yeah, she's really so easy to talk to as well. She's lovely.
It's very nice. Well, nice hearing her story. Sad that she's got some illness, but glad that she's managed to move somewhere she wants to be, and that she's got nature, and she's making the soap, and she knows where she wants to sell it, you know, in the markets, local. I mean, I don't think she's looking at being, you know, a big manufacturer, but she can sell these things. So she's kind of worked things out. She's a very smart lady.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do market research when you're trying to sell something. So yeah, it's just the fact that she is ill means that she's more empathic, and she's more way about other things as well. You know, people, like she said about a daughter having an invisible illness. You know, don't judge people just because you don't know their story. You know what I mean? You don't know. You only see what you see. You don't know behind the scenes. So yeah, really nice talking to Kelly. Really
Yeah,
enjoyed
I'm
it.
sure that we'll be talking to her more, won't we?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah,
will.
definitely.
And so thank you very much. So thank you, Gonzalo, for his lovely story. I did actually just admit I made 2 little errors in there, but hopefully nobody noticed that as it was actually being played back. I looked at it a few times, didn't see myself making errors, then I did. And then we've had Kelly, and Kelly's lovely. So on to the next person. He's much younger, young Jason, I'm going to call him. You haven't seen this one, have you, Patricia? So I'm just going to play it, okay? I think it just goes to the right bit. And our third story is from Jason. Jason lives in America, and obviously we will talk about the last video and then we'll be on to this one. So thanks very much, Jason, for your thoughts.
Hey guys, my name is Jason. I watch a lot of you guys hangouts. I'm from the U.S. and Louisiana, but a lot of stuff has been, coming to me lately as I've been learning new things and, listening to you guys. But I was recently watching a hangout with Josh and David and I believe Andy, and it was at nighttime and things started just coming to me, just started thinking about the alphabet, especially, with speaking on etymology. And, the letters C and I came to mind, and, really the letters are just symbols, but in the English alphabet, if you look at it capitalized, C being the 3rd letter, the Trinity, and I being the 9th letter, completeness, I just started to think, almost every letter in the English alphabet capitalized can be drawn out with, the symbols such as like C and I. Not sure if I'm thinking too much into it, not sure if y'all have come across this. I'd like some feedback. Maybe I'm thinking too much, but hopefully, it's something that, has come to me from, switching, my lifestyle, plant-based diet, try to be more positive about things, just everything to try to, better my life. So maybe, that's why this has come to me. I'll send another video with a little short presentation showing what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'll just write this out. So we have the letter C, which is 3rd letter. And then, hopefully I'm doing this far apart enough, we have the letter I, which is the 9th letter. See what I'm doing with the numbers too. So 3, 9. The first letter is A. Then you have B, of course, C. I'm doing it kind of far apart. If you look at 2, you can, because like I said, it's symbols. It's not really, C or I, but we'll just say C and I. 2, 3, D, 4, E, 5, 6, G, 7, H, eight. So I mean I could go on, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So all the numbers you can use the same structure that you use with drawing letters or writing letters. So it's like almost everything can be used as a C and an I. And then like I said, the C being a 3, the Trinity, and I being 9, completeness. Then I started to think, okay, you can also use, get this from Santos Bonacci, watching him. You have, just a whole bunch of horizontal eyes connected. Sine wave. So you're using the same type of symbols to create a sine wave, which are frequencies. I'm pretty, I believe they say, from sound came light. The Bible, God spoke light into existence. And if you look at it, the C and the I, those symbols can represent male and female, reproductive organs. Not to be, not to be vulgar or anything, but I mean, if you look at it like that, male, female, I mean, basically you create your own existence with these frequencies. Male, female create life. Yeah, to me, it's just something crazy. I'm not sure if y'all ever looked at it like that. I really honestly haven't until last night. It really like started to come to me, and I just started putting all these different things together. So I'd like to see, your feedback, or maybe if I'm thinking too much into something, but definitely would like to see what your feedback is on this. Thanks, guys.
Hey, and that was Jason. I'm just going to stop screen sharing now, but just to say that Jason, he meant to say reality, not, he said something else, but he meant to say reality, in your reality. And yeah, it's really nice to see people waking up, isn't it, and realizing that there's much more than you think there is with etymology, symbols, signs. Patricia?
Yeah, do you know something? Yeah, thanks, Jason, for that, by the way. There was something.
He's a young man as well. He's nice and young as well. It's good. Carry on.
There was something, like we've got the pyramid and we've got the eye at the top, the all-seeing eye. When he said see and I, is that part of what it means? They've literally took it as a seeing eye, but is it see and I? It's all see and I, not all seeing.
That's 1 to 9, isn't it? With the 8, which is all.
Oh, it's weird.
Yeah, well, Patricia, yeah, I'm sure he'll like that. And anyway, Jason's looking for any feedback because it's all come to him last night, well, a couple of nights ago now, probably, when he did this video. He also was talking about David Giamita and being on Hangout with him, and Andy and Josh, wasn't it? So, yeah, he's been looking and listening. And yeah, it's great when we start putting all the pieces together. But there's many pieces. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I used to do jigsaws and I'd do 1,000 pieces, and it's like, oh, this is so hard, but life is millions of pieces. millions and trillions probably.
But we need
Just
youngsters to change, don't we? It's them we need to change and grow. So, and he's a nice young man, and I very much appreciate him sending in his part of his story. It's a story, a bit of a, what do you call it, a day before story, but still his story, isn't it? Still an awakening on what's happened to him. Patricia,
yeah.
this is our first My Story, and of course we will do this again. Keep sending in your letters, emails, videos, or we'll go on a hangout with you, 20 minutes or so, talk about your story. What do you reckon, Patricia? Did you enjoy that?
I did, yeah. And like you just said, just keep them all coming in, emails, videos, or invitations, you know, you wanting to come on the hangouts and stuff and speak. Yeah, it's fascinating. I just hope there's loads more.
Well, I very much appreciate those people. So that's Gonzalo, that's Kelly, and Jason. So put some comments below. I'm sure Jason will look at them. Anyway, Patricia, we're going to end now. That was amazing, wasn't it? And
It was, yeah.
Patricia
It
loves
was.
this, aren't you? You're loving this. This is your kind of thing, isn't it, Patricia?
It is, yeah. Yeah, thank you everyone so far that's participated. It's really good. I love hearing people's stories.
Yeah, we
So
might.
thank you everyone.
We might get those people that have given in their stories already to come on a hangout with us anyway.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. And by the way, I love you all.
Yeah, Jason, Kelly, Gonzalo, mwah, chat room, anybody that's watching, mwah, and Patricia. Mwah.
Karen.
All right, my darling. Mwah.